Hey guys, Rollout here with LEGO Transformers Movie Bumblebee. Just like my Optimus Prime, this is based on the original movie trilogy, but I like to think of it as my own version of that design. He is the vaguely Camaro-like muscle car that Bumblebee has been for the last decade or so, and I think this mode is super solid. Just really clean and really compact. Earth mode vehicles generally aren't my forte. I tend to prefer animals and spaceships, but this is easily the best car I have ever made. I decided to go with a single stripe on his hood, a little bit more like the Transformers 4 and 5 vehicle modes, but that's mainly because it was tricky getting two individual stripes looking any good at this scale. Originally, I was going to go with a more varied color scheme. His windshield was going to be dark gray, he was going to have more color in the headlights, but the more color I added, the worse he looked. There's something very elegant about him only being black, gray, and yellow, and anything more just doesn't quite work, in my opinion. That said, even though some of the black sort of runs together, I don't think any of it is confusing. He does have implied headlights and implied taillights. He does have rubber wheels, even if they don't roll. And I especially like the little byproducts of his transformation that come through as car mode details, incidentally. You have the back windshield here, you have the rear view mirrors, you have these little rods here, which kind of look like the additional headlights from the 2010 Camaro, and then you also have his robot mode hands sticking out, which kind of look like the silver Camaro logo on the side. You can see his waist assembly kind of sticking out back here, but if we take a look at the bottom, things are fairly clean and unassuming. Most of his robot mode junk either integrates into the vehicle or simply hides inside. You might have noticed a couple of jumper plates on the side of the car. This is mostly for stability in robot mode, but it does mean you can connect his accessories to the vehicle. I've built a couple of arm blasters here. These are pretty simple, and you've got some options. These can plug onto the front, if that's what you prefer, but you can also attach them to the side, just like this. One of these can go on either door, like that, or you can actually connect them together and attach them to one side, which I actually prefer. Next, we have his hammer from The Last Night. I think it's amusing that movie Bumblebee never had a proper melee weapon until the 5th installment. Either way, I thought about giving him his arm blades from the Bumblebee movie, but I think this big ol' hammer is just a bit more dynamic. This can plug onto the side, which is stupid. Slightly less stupid, you can take this bottom bit here and slide it down, kind of creating a sniper barrel, and then attach this to the side with the rest of the weapons, creating this big ol' massive artillery, which is all kinds of ridiculous. For comparison, here he is with Quick Stop, which isn't quite right. That is a very small bus. But more importantly, here he is with Optimus Prime. And they look so great together. The scale isn't perfect, but I think that Bumblebee is just small enough for it to work. And I can only imagine them driving side by side with the Steve Jablonsky score playing in the background. Let's add an explosion for good measure, and that is awesome. So this guy's transformation cheats a little bit. I always failed designing Bumblebee at this scale because I was determined to make the front his chest, the doors his wings, and to get the wheels in all the right places. For this to work, I needed to throw those conventions out the window and switch everything around. So first, we're going to open up the rear of the vehicle, which will reveal his head, of course. Next, we're going to lift these panels up, and that'll give us enough room to take this top section here, bring it back, rotate it around, and flip it back down. Then we can take the mirrors and fold those up. Next, we'll bring these panels off to the side, and then bring them out. And that'll give us room to bring this section back up, extend the waist, flip it around, and collapse it back down. Next, we'll work on the legs. These will come down. The bottom sections will flip down. The heel spur will flip out. And then this panel here will slide down to cover that gap. Do the same on this side. And there you have the lower body. Next, we're going to open up the front of the vehicle, just like this. The hood will come up. What will be the arms will come down. We can slide those out, rotate them, and bend at the elbow. Next, we'll hinge back the shoulder here. Bring the chest forward, and then slide those back just a little bit to give the chest some dimension. The wings will slide back and angle into place. Then we can take the shoulders, bring those up, and then angle them down. Finally, take the back panel, lift that up, and there you have Bumblebee in robot mode. The entire concept of this design is based around a couple of simple illusions. First, that I could split the hood and turn that single stripe into something which sort of looks like the windows on his door wings. And second, that I could make his wheels those circular details on his elbow guards. From there, I just needed to make sure that his fake chest looked a little bit like the front of the vehicle, and I think it works. He's got exaggerated proportions, but he still captures the essence of Bumblebee. He's still that scrappy little brawler with attitude. He does have wheels on his legs, but they're a bit closer to his calves rather than his ankles. That's actually like the more recent Bumblebee design. He's got a lot of heel support, and if I were to make those simple tiles, they'd slide around and wouldn't have nearly as much clutch power. He needs that because he's got a very large backpack. This is relatively standard for Bumblebee toys, but I especially like how the rear view mirrors become his secondary pair of wings. This guy has a lot of articulation. The wings can move around a little bit. His head goes left and right. The arms go in and out on a couple of different hinges. They rotate, they bend at the elbow. He's got some waist articulation. The legs go in and out. They go forward and back. There's even a secondary hinge in here, which is extremely useful. His knees are a little bit weird. They're permanently bent at a 90-degree angle, but he does have this hinge in the middle of his curved shin armor, which is also quite useful, even if it's a bit strange. His toe can move, and his heels can articulate to support him. He is extremely dynamic, and he conveys a lot of character through body language, which is perfect for Bumblebee. Arming him up in robot mode, he's got the guns, which simply enough clip into his hands with these little clear bar pieces. These can store on his back in a couple of different ways, either like this, which is really solid but sticks out a little far, or, believe it or not, like this, which isn't too bad. Then, of course, you've also got his hammer, which looks super cool. I actually think a weapon like this suits him really well. Lastly, we'll do some quick size comparisons. Here he is with Quick Stop. And finally, Optimus Prime and Bumblebee together at last. This has been a long time coming, and after all these years, it is so fulfilling to have these two side by side. So, until next time, this has been Rollout, signing off.